there's a plan here. What can Marvel and DC Studios, this is comic book movie, what is the plan? What can they do, DC and Marvel, to address the new box office norm for these superhero movies? Here's the article by Josh Wilding. Superhero movies are no longer the guaranteed $1 billion hit. But what can Marvel and DC do to make superhero fatigue, or make sure that it doesn't bring an end to our favorite genre? We have a few questions. Superheroes are struggling in theaters, and not a single one of their movies will come close to the $1 billion at the worldwide box office in 2025. It's impossible to deny that superhero fatigue is here, and it's now down to Marvel Studios and DC Studios to counter it. It's early days for the DCU, while Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has talked candidly about how he intends to address the MCU's recent struggles. Still talks cheap, and it's the action that's taken in the coming years that's going to decide the genre's fate. So in this feature, we're sharing our take on what needs to be done by both studios in order to right a ship. Okay, so it's time to make these movies for less. Guys, how long have we been saying this?
Yep.
3 years.
3-4 years? If the majority of these movies are going to end their box office runs in the 400 to 600 million range, then it's vital that they be produced for less money, whether that's cutting costs in terms of talent or VFX. It's not sustainable for these blockbusters to be costing upwards of 200 million before marketing every time moving forward. Here, Josh. Here. There has to be a way for Marvel and DC to figure this out, and the latter does appear to have the right idea by casting lesser-known stars. David Corenswet earned $750,000 for Superman, while Nicholas Hoult scoring a $2 million payday due to be the bigger name. We'd argue that he wasn't a huge enough star to sell tickets, though, and James Gunn's $15 million paycheck is questionable, to say the least. He's got $15 million for that movie?
That's nuts.
That's pretty crazy.
Especially if you're already co-CEO. Write it into your damn salary that you already getting, bro.
We get extra points on the movie. That's interesting. We'll pretend that Coy's not on the show for this part. No studio is looking to simply break even on a pricey movie, so something's got to give. 4, events sell. Everything else, not so much. If the past few years have taught us anything, it's that audiences now expect superhero movies to be events. Deadpool and Wolverine was one because it brought together two of Marvel's most iconic characters, whereas the Marvels, Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, were streaming follow-ups, and regardless of that, never felt like game-changing, impactful stories. Fantastic Four: First Steps hasn't broken box office records, but it's soared higher than those movies because the reintroduction of this team felt like a much bigger deal than other recent releases. Once upon a time, Marvel Studios took risks on the likes of Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy. However, those movies were surrounded by safe bets like Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Avengers: Age of Ultron. Relying on those marquee names is a must moving forward. We wish DC's all the best with Supergirl, Clayface. So, 3, no more streaming. Well, this is going to be interesting because I don't know if I agree with cold turkey, but let's see. The COVID-19 pandemic had a long-lasting, hugely negative impact on the theatrical landscape. Don't believe us? Avengers Endgame made shy of $630 million in China in 2019, whereas Superman and Fantastic Four haven't even reached $20 million combined. Right? That's pretty crazy. Then there's streaming, whether it's the shortened theatrical window or Marvel Studios being forced into producing a seamlessly ending waves of TV shows. Streaming platforms like Disney Plus have conditioned moviegoers to just wait to watch movies at home, while those series devalued the MCU to a point where it's devalued. The MCU to a point that there simply no longer feels special. WandaVision, Falcon, and the Winter Soldier felt like must-see TV in 2021, but as time passed, these shows have lost their luster and now come and go with little fanfare or impact. Marvel Studios is reducing its streaming output moving forward, where DC Studios runs the risk of repeating past mistakes with the likes of Peacemaker Season 2 and Lanterns. To undo the damage, the wait to watch these movies at home needs to be significantly longer, and streaming shows, well, one a year might be too many. Better marketing, fewer leaks. Well, how are you going to beat the fewer leaks? That's impossible. The better marketing, let's see what their fix is here. The leaks is impossible to hold. The importance of test screenings is debatable, but in recent years, they've led to a surge in spoilers leaking online. We're not just talking about a couple of minor surprises either. It's become commonplace for full plot leaks to do rounds more ahead of a new movie release. If fans have read every plot beat that soon, then they're less inclined to go back for repeat viewings. Piracy is also an issue with full clips and cameras all over social media, sometimes days before movies are released in the US. Early fan screenings are another problem because rather than creating buzz, they give people a chance to learn what to expect in weeks in advance. Honestly, marketing campaigns in general need an overhaul because how is hanging Superman above the Shard in London or plastering James Gunn's face all over Love Island, UK, helping to sell tickets. The same could be said for the cringeworthy influencer interviews. Here, that see an actor like Pedro Pascal asked less about his process and more about the internet calling him daddy. Here, Josh Wilding. Recent trailers have been lacking, with the Marvels a good example of that. I really am impressed with Josh Wilding's article here. 94% of it I agree with. Less is more. A site called comicbookmovie.com probably shouldn't be calling for fewer superhero movies and TV shows every year, but it would benefit this genre greatly in the long run. The day of Marvel and DC releasing 3 movies a year need to end, and neither studio should be balancing 2 or 3 streaming series on top of that is a good idea. Deadpool and Wolverine had a lot going for it. The fact it was the only 2024's only MCU's title that made it more highly anticipated and gave it that feeling of a special one-off event. Why get excited for Captain America Brave New World when there's Daredevil, Born Again, Thunderbolts, Ironheart, Fantastic Four First Steps, Eyes of Wakanda to also look forward to in the following 6 months? It's too much. Fortunately, Marvel Studios, DC both look to be taking a less is more approach in the coming years. Yep. That's it. Okay. First of all, excellent article by Josh Wilding. Excellent. I agree with a lot of it. The streaming part of it, we can, I think the majority of it I agree with. The only thing is, I think that, and I've been saying this could be about Star Wars, this could be about Marvel. I think that what Netflix does well is they use their big budgets, and they don't just, of course they make shows, but they also make movies. So if you're going to spend $200 million on a streaming show, why don't you spend 120 and make a movie, and make that movie and get the kind of Happy Gilmore numbers or K-pop numbers if you do like a big movie that is set just for Disney Plus or whatever it might be, or for Max, do a straight movie. But the series trying to catch everybody up, because a movie tying into the overall lore, okay, you got to watch that movie. I watch it at home. It debuts today. Okay, great. Maybe that gets me interested down the line. So I don't think streaming cold turkey is the answer, but I certainly think like trying to have like watching all of these episodes and being locked into it, it's a lot. And they even said as much. So that's the first part of streaming. Coy, I know that you're just not a streaming guy in general. You think that it kind of took out the whole experience. So first of all, what do you think of the article that was said, and what do you think about the streaming, and just let's start to rave. Let's start to rave about Trade Coffee. You know how much I love Trade Coffee. So cold brew, you drink it year round. And the problem is you rely on grocery store concentrate on $6 cafe runs, mostly out of what, to me, I always thought it was convenience. But when Trade came, come on. Cold brew at home, it's easy. And it tastes way better, and it costs less than buying out. Doesn't matter if it's summer travel, weddings, weekends. My routine, I've talked about it. It's all over the place. But my cold brew ritual, that is the only thing that I won't skip. Thanks to Trade. They have the cold brew beans. They're smooth. They're easy to prep, whether brewing ahead for the week, filling my tumbler to take on the road. I can skip deliveries when I'm away. Trade is the #1 coffee destination for the U.S., both hot and cold coffee drinkers. They've sourced the best beans from the top roasters around the U.S., and now they have a special cold brew collection. I mean, come on. Plus, they've teamed up with 15 roasters to create a special cold brew bean collection that ensures your cold brew at home tastes exactly how it should. It's smooth and it's delicious. Love it. When they said they were doing this, it's like, oh, please and thank you. I already love you guys. Now I love you even more. So they sent this bag that I've been doing, and my buddy was in town. I said, hey, I got cold brew. Check it out. Brett, you know Brett. Brett loves it. Limited time. Trade is going to give you 50% off a month of cold brew. 50% off. That's around 60 cups of cold brew for 50% off. But you have to go to drinktrade.com/Kristian. That is drinktrade.com/Kristian. You get 50% off 1 month of cold brew. drinktrade.com/Kristian.
If we're starting with streaming, I think streaming is the thing that gets us to the Wall-E world very quickly. I think we're rapidly approaching just being amorphous blobs floating in couches in our little pods. And I think that happens because of apathy. Like I can respect, as someone without kids, that I can't fathom trying to pay 5 movie tickets and all those things. But if there's the option to wait 30 days and watch it at home, why would someone opt to do the stress of 5 tickets and all the popcorn and soda? Like, that is how we're going to lose movie theaters. So I think streaming is detrimental overall. I think that what you just said is the opposite, though, right? If there's things that are unique to streaming versus rushing theatrical to streaming, right? Like
Yeah.
I think Werewolf by Night as a special presentation on Disney Plus is a great opportunity for Disney Plus to have something that is unique to itself and worth that $7, $8, $9 a month at home. But if you're trying to release a $200 million movie that is going to be on streaming in 30 days, why would a family of 5 attend if they've already paid $7 for all 5 of them to watch at home and not have to get in the car? So I think streaming is I think theatrical windows are more of the thing that we need to look at than one or the other. Like, I don't think it's as binary. I also think there's an element of the comfort of home. Like, people have these big TVs and surround sounds and all that stuff. Movie theaters need to be special again. We need to make it so people aren't talking in the theater. We need to make it so people aren't on their phones, which will help with the privacy element. We need to make it so if there's this giant employment problem, they aren't employing people to rip tickets anymore because tickets are digital. They aren't employing as many people to sell tickets because people buy them online. If we want jobs at the movie theater, have those people walk through the movie theaters and stop people from talking. Like, we need to have ushers that are actually in the theater going like, hey, shut up. Like,
they do it
is a way to pay someone and also solve a problem.
And they do it at the press screenings. If you have your phone or anything too, like, there's people that go up and down the
100%.
Yeah,
and that's a job. We need to create jobs. Now, I know that's also a cost for the theater. So that needs to be something that comes out of that percentage that the movie theater gets for these movies, that comes out of the concession. Like, we need to recalibrate what the dollar cost averaging is. I think the problem with the movie theater system is what they keep doing is adding commercials, adding costs, adding, and that's not what's going to push people into the theater. It's what's pushing people out of the theater. So I think we need a new system, like when AMC A-List started. That gave us, oh my God, 3 movies, now 4 for a certain price point. We need to figure out what the equivalent of that is in these other systems. And I know that's work and effort and time, but I think that's what needs to change first.
The etiquette point is very, very well taken, because I mentioned I went to that event last night, and I was talking to another podcaster. They run a very successful kind of true crime thing, but they also like movies, and the woman I was speaking to goes, yeah, we don't go to the movies as much anymore because we got a really good system at home. The movies come out fast, and the people in the theaters don't really behave, and we're older now. We don't really want to deal with that. And it is absolutely one of the Matt Serra. I keep saying this. It was like I took him to the Garden of Eden when I took him to a press screening, because he was like, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. He's like, people aren't talking on their phones. I mean, they're not showing their phones. They're not talking. They're not being loud. They're not putting their feet. Like, people are behaved. What is this magical place?
Yeah,
and that's the norm now. It's crazy.
I miss them dearly. I miss them so much. Since I only go to a couple nowadays. But to that point, I mean, Coy picked or maybe I guess you assigned it to him, the best of all the arguments. The streaming thing destroyed movie theaters. The idea that legitimately the Jurassic World is already on streaming. Right. That's insane.
Wait, real quick with that one, and I want you to make your point, but real quick, the thing with Jurassic World's a hard one to make. It's the only one that's going to cross like almost $800 million.
No, I understand that, and they literally, but the rate that it was going, they shot themselves in the foot, because that movie probably could have cleared $1 billion the way it was rolling. So, like, it still is a problem in that you have literally trained people to say, I don't need to go to the movie theater. That is the problem. The idea that you would ever make a window smaller than what used to be DVDs and stuff like that, of waiting months. So it's like, look, you either have made this event, or you're just going to have to legitimately watch it on the replay way later. By getting rid of that, you're not going to get people to go back. And I understand the pandemic was a unique time, but the same way that you go out of whatever said protocols when there's an emergency, where there's a fire, where there's any sort of thing, it's the same thing. They should have had a protocol to get back out of this. But I honestly think greed got in the way of them going, nah, man, like, and then we're gonna put all this stuff on there, and we're gonna take all the cables, money, we're gonna eat their lunch. And then here we are. I think the second most important one does go back to the budgets. We've preached this time and time again. Look, James Gunn seems like an absolutely fantastic person. I don't blame him for taking his back end points. At the same time, I'm like, bro, you're going to get back end points on every single DCU movie coming out. So, like,
there's a really
weird comment.
There's a really weird comment in there that says that these movies make money outside of box office. Yeah, of course they do. I don't get the obsession with box office because people aren't going to the movies as much. And the whole article was about potentially making why they're not making $1 billion. And one said that they were making huge losses. These things are just not back into that whole thing. How these movies made money. They didn't make the kind of. Anyway, so yes, they did. The thing is, they still, when you spend $200 million on a movie, you want it to make more than just a little bit more, or even if the merchandise or those things, you want it to be able to hit that. You're trying to aim to that place that was the sweet spot. And you also get to a place where DC is happy because DC, they have enough in the chamber to say, let's keep going forward. We have the strategy now, and now we can look at the numbers. And if we put the money, and it made sense to put the money into Superman because that's it. It's the launching pad. And now you got to try to look at these other movies that aren't performing as well as they used to. And why is that? And you put together an entire plan of why that is. And that's what DC is going to be doing. Why Comic Book Movie also said, it's like you Thunderbolts, it did not make money, even outside with, and I just watched it again. It's a great movie. Fantastic Four was a disappointment in regards to what they were looking at to accomplish and lead to, and now they're scattered. It has nothing, as far as, it's not an obsession. It's a matter of looking. When you look at the numbers, you have to say it is telling you about the business as a whole. So don't be silly fart.
The easiest example that most people tend to agree with is that the Fast movies are certainly fun, but they're not good movie. They're just like, man, that's crazy.
Right.
And so people keep asking, how do these movies keep getting made? Because they keep pushing $1 billion pretty much every time they go out. The same thing with the Jurassic World films. We all universally agreed that the one before Rebirth was doo-doo water.
Right.
And yet somehow we got another little baby reboot here with Scarlett Johansson because it makes money. So the question of why does box office matter? Because literally it's a business, and they go, that made money, shit, do it again. That made do it again. That's why it matters.
It's where we're at. Yeah, Coy, I've gotten that though too. Why is he so focused on the box office? That's all the show is about now, is box office. It's like, yes, because we're in a place right now. We're not in 2015. We're like, oh, we're so excited about all the stuff that's coming out, and this could be this. And we talk about those things. We'll talk about it with Spider-Man and other things too. But the problem is where we are. We're not in that sweet spot in 2015. It didn't matter because like, oh, okay, the numbers they did real good. We're seeing more of these. Great. You don't focus in on it because it's not telling you anything. What it was telling you back in 2015 is everybody was going to see them. So they're making more and more and more. So, okay, that part of it, we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about, hey, who do you think the villain's going to be? And why is that? No. It was more fun. It was more interesting to talk about those things because you were going to see it. And it all made sense as opposed to getting excited. We don't even know if Thunderbolts was potentially going to have a sequel. And we have a story. Shackman might return now for Fantastic Four. It would have been a guarantee if the box office would have been huge. It would have been like he comes back for the sequel. They locked him up already for it. That's why. And so, why is it so obsessed with the box office? That's all we talk about. The box office show. Stick it up your assholes.
I forgot early morning Christian is New Yorker Christian.
I'm just tired of it.
You mellow out midday.
Yeah, he's on East Coast energy.
It's a show. It's a show about the numbers, about the business in general, and you lock down as far as production. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of I remember the day you used to just talk about what was happening in speculation and all that stuff. And guess what happened? You'd fucking bitch about the speculation part. Why are you speculating? Just go along with it. Stick it up your asshole. Go ahead, Coy.
I was gonna say, and I agree, because I get the same comments when I cover this stuff, is without us discussing it, there's no room to navigate how to fix it. There's no room to navigate the solutions, and then it will go the way of the Western. Like, if we don't get ahead of it and we just go, everything's fine, I think the big problem is until something's gone, people don't notice the problems. Like, until the thing is missing and you're like, I miss that era. Like, all of the current nostalgia wave for the 90s. There were lots of problems in the 90s, but we've got this thing of like, why did that go away? Because we didn't look at how to fix the things we wanted to keep. Right. So if we do a show called Capes and Cowls, we probably want to keep comic book stuff going. So we're looking at the solution. So it isn't a pest.
The other day someone asked me, how do you still eat well if you're really busy and you don't have the time? Yeah, I'm telling you, you got a busy schedule. You got all the summer plans going on. What do you have at best? A couple of minutes? Factor really has helped me eat smarter. It's got the tasty chef prep meals. They're dietitian approved, delivered right to my door. And now the best part is they have more than like 65 weekly meals. It's made for how I live right now, what I like to eat. I've gotten more ways to get fit with a real meal wherever the day takes me, and they really zone it to what your preferences are. There's more variety. There's more meals. You can choose for a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices, salmon, shrimp. Salmon's delicious at no extra cost. Shrimp's great too, by the way. I just love the salmon. You can savor global flavors. So for the first time, you can try the Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. From more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. You can feel the difference no matter your routine. I've been doing it. You should do it too. I'm telling you, I love Factor. I've talked about it the other day. Someone asked me about it. I was raving about it. We didn't even have a spot on the show. And I was talking about how much I love Factor. So you can eat smart at factormeals.com/Kristian50 off, but use that code Kristian50 off. Get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That is the code Kristian50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off plus free shipping. Get delicious, ready to eat meals delivered with Factor.
The only thing that made me laugh even more about it is not seeing this here, like seeing people in the audience in the chat talking about why you're talking about box office. It's seeing like industry professionals tweeting out, why is everybody so obsessed about the box office? Now I'm like, are you dumb? What are we doing? Like literally,
it's the shape of the business, as where again Josh Wilding brings up in that article, rightfully so, which is another part we should go into, is that we've been saying it. The budgets are too high in these movies, because what it allows to do as far as the creative side of all of this too is what's great in the mention of getting a David Corenswet for $750,000. You're creating a star now, and it allows us to not just keep rehashing the same person and go, oh, you know what? Let's just put so-and-so in. Let's spend $15 million in. They'll get it in there, and you don't build anybody, and you're just spending that big $15 million. Now, eventually, David Corenswet will not be $750,000 because that's how the business goes. As I said with Nicholas Hoult, he's $2 million because of his past experience. I think, and here we'll do this, James Gunn should not have $15 million for a salary. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But you give him points or whatever else may be, whatever his deal is. But if I get a directing thing too. No,
there's got to be a space where I again, I love James Gunn. I'm always gonna.
You want to go away still?
I'm listening.
Okay.
I love James Gunn. As South Park put it, you sometimes you got to get your nut. Like I get it, but like just at the same time, if you know that because you're the head honcho, you're already going to get money from every different angle. That's just, in my opinion, a smart business decision to be like, you know what, I'm gonna take a baby bit less on this. Both so it kind of boosts our box office numbers, and then what that compares to for our budget. You know, just in general, you're gonna get your money, my guy. So like that's the only thing that I would say.
Shifting. But as far as budgets in general going down, and with Marvel and spending the $200 million, you got to bring it down, because I think it's what. Let's shift away from comic book movies for a second. I've talked about this with, let's go Jurassic World or Terminator. How exciting would it be to see the movie The Creator? Like
Gareth,
the one, the one that with that just came out, and it was like
John David Washington.
Yeah, John David Washington, and it was
yes.
That movie looked like $200 million. It was made for 90. Taking a movie like a Terminator or a Jurassic World and going back to basics and making it look like a $60 million like A24 film or something, and go with that premise. And Prey, right?
Did.
But Prey was a streaming movie.
But that's kind of what you were talking about with like, but now he's doing Badlands, which is theatrical, and it's going to be like they're doing it sometimes. Alien Earth looks so good,
right?
Because it looks like sets.
Romulus. Look at Romulus. Right, like that kind of stuff, and it's like I get it. Like they've got it. That is why we talk about that, because it brings it. Because like for me, I would much rather. Oh, another movie. So here's a perfect example of where we are with comic book movies in general. So my buddy Brett Ernst, who is the guy who he was essentially my stand-up comedy big brother. He was Uncle Louie in Cobra Kai. So he was the whole reason that I got a chance to showcase at the Comedy Store and become a regular, which repping it today. Look at that. Over there it is.
Huh.
So he was the one. He said, he called me and said, "Look, I got regulars have a recommendation. You want to showcase for Mitzi? I'll put your name, and you got to show up." And I was like, "Of course I'm going to show up." And I did. It was because without Brett Ernst, I wouldn't have gotten into the Comedy Store. I say it all the time. I took me, him, and Sebastian went on the road and did shows together and casinos and stuff. And he was great. He was always really he was always there for me in stand-up comedy and other things. So he randomly called me last night. I haven't spoken to him in a little bit, but he called me last night and he goes, "Hey, out of these 3 movies, what should I see? Should I see Superman? Should I see Fantastic Four? Or should I see Weapons?" I told him to go see Weapons. Out of the 3 of those movies, that is the best quality movie, in my opinion. The most engaged I was out of the 3 films, and it was probably significantly less to make. Significantly. And it was I was the most engaged out of the 3. And I liked all 3 movies, but that was the one I said, I got to tell you, you really want to be like locked into a film? It's that one. That's the movie to me that it doesn't seem like the same thing. And imagine if they made it. And I think they're going to try to do that with Clayface. Like, that's what I love. They're going to that. I want to see a $30 million Clayface horror movie. Sure. Why not? That's smart. So I hope that they kind of do that. Those are the 3 movies in general, but I don't know. Coy, I said a lot. What do you say?
So I also think there's something to this article that we're not zooming back out enough. Like, we're very focused on like the comic booky stuff, but I think movies are in a bad spot. Not this one, but like, I think if you look at the box office of this year, 4 of the top 10 domestic are superhero films. 4 of the top 11 worldwide are superhero films. So if we're saying superhero films are struggling, I think we also need to be looking at the theatrical world struggling. Like, one movie has made $1 billion this year. I don't think it's fair to keep thinking $1 billion is normal or average. It's not post-pandemic.
2.
What was that, Winston?
2.
Oh yeah. Well,
if you just mean like American movies.
He means
I'm sorry. I was speaking of domestically. We've had 1, 2 worldwide. But either way, those are not a bounty. Those are not a many.
Sure.
It is not a 2015 where we've got billions being like, is the next one? Minecraft got close. It was 50,000 shy, so it's flowers. But I don't think we should look at the numbers as compared to superhero movies to each other. We need to look at movies like by the year, like 2025 movies compared to 2025 movies, or maybe 2024. But we need to stop doing this like, hey, back in 2017, 2018, 2019, the box office is different now. So the box office money needs to adjust in pre-production and production. Our expectations need to adjust. I had the same problem. I thought July was going to be a $3 billion month. I said it very publicly. I thought all 3, Fantastic Four, Jurassic, and Superman would clear $1 billion. I was thinking the same way. I think we need to readjust expectations until the theater industry comes back, or we need to not see everything as a failure because we need to adjust the budget so everything isn't a failure if it doesn't clear $500 million.
Yeah, I think the other thing we're not taking into consideration is the fact of like just the state of the world's economy. I think backing out a little bit and realizing that everybody is holding on to their dollars a little bit more. And on top of that, everything is going up in price. I think the other thing that we're not taking into consideration is that movies as well have continuously gotten more expensive
because the dollar's worth nothing and no one has any dollars.
So that's why your friend calls.
See a movie, you should eat.
That's literally why your friend calls, because y'all still have that fare to even get into the city. On top of that, I don't know if he's in New York or whatever.
No, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I think he's in LA, but I think that but nonetheless, he wants to find out of those 3. He doesn't.
It's like I literally can spend $25 extra right now one time. What do I do?
What should I do? 3 of those? Yeah, I'm going to spend my money on something what's worth it, and that I don't feel like, why did I spend my money on that movie for sure? And it is a matter of, I don't know. I think that where comic book movies are, we should see. I think the other thing that really what's special about these movies now, right? Like, what's really special about them? Like, what I said to him when I was telling him, I said, look, here's the things that I feel. I said, Superman does feel like it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. It feels like it's ripped out of those kind of old school comics, and like it's the first Superman that really feels like that. Like there's aliens everywhere, there's things that he's fighting, there's monsters and things that he's fighting. It's, if you are down for that and it's a fun movie, then you should see it. And that's how I think Superman is different. Is it radically different? Like, oh my God, that you've got to see this. I don't feel that way. And the same thing about Fantastic Four. I love Fantastic Four, and I loved how it looked. The thing I felt that was different was visually. I thought there was some stuff that made it seem like it wasn't even in the comic book realm. It felt like it was in like, you know, a science fiction movie more so. And I love that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a selling point. And that's why I recommended Weapons. Weapons is different. The characters where I was locked into, and that's the kind of stuff I think that Marvel and DC needs. You got to get more.
I mean, especially because, like, even though we've talked about box office stuff a little bit, but if you look at the movies that got the most buzz or hype, it feels like this year, F1, really, people were very shocked by that and what that did. Sinners and the run that it went on. Everybody talking about Weapons. It's part genre, but it's also, those stories are either F1, another idea of kind of looking at the retro side of things and giving you another 80s movie type scenario.
Right.
Sinners, that's something completely new. And then I can't speak to Weapons. But
Sinners and Weapons, Coy, to me, do the same thing. They really focus in on the story, the characters inside of the genre itself. It doesn't push the genre. I think that both Fantastic Four and Superman push the comic book genre first. And then, look at the characters that we have inside of this. This is the big thing. Look at it. And when you're doing a big summer blockbuster movie, it's spectacle. And people want to lock in the characters. They really want to be involved in the story. And it's the same thing I would say about The Mandalorian, right? The Mandalorian was something that by season 3, it was like, oh, this monster of the week. And it's 30-minute episodes. And you don't get a chance to learn any of the characters. You don't care. It's just fluff. And that's why I don't know, Coy, you were going to say before. We were going to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what they're adjusting to is more in this vein. I think, obviously, we're not talking about the Spider-Mans and the Avengers of it all, but I think doing a Punisher special presentation, a Werewolf special presentation, these are focusing on the characters in the genre. And those are what I think I'm agreeing with you. I think that's what we need to focus on, because I think Vanessa Kirby of the Fantastic Four was the character that I felt got a character study. I felt I really, really understood who Superman was by the end of that film in a way that I hadn't felt theatrically before. And so there are elements of that, but if it's in a $200 million thing, you're trying to appeal to too much to get that true anchor in. But that's what you need to do with those kind of movies. That's a different type of movie than a Weapons, than a Sinners. The beautiful thing about Sinners is it felt like a blockbuster, but it was also a character study. I think that has Clayface written all over it. I think that has the Batman 2 written all over it. I think if you are making a new studio or rebooting your studio post Secret Wars, you need to look at varying your budgets, varying your tones, because we've gotten the audience used to the language of comic book movies now. Both Fantastic Four and Superman were able to start like they were in a graphic novel already in way. What we need to do now is, hey, we've proven we can do this. We need more Logans. We need more The Crows. We need more things that are movies that are in comic books, as well as big things like FF and Superman.
Logan was interesting. It was different, right? You know, someone brought it up in the comments section. It's a great example. Godzilla 1. I didn't care about that movie at all. Like another Godzilla movie, okay, Godzilla, sure, it's gonna be the same thing, because I was so used to the same fluff that you get with Godzilla versus Kong, those types of things, and they're fun to watch, and you shove popcorn in your face and you forget about it. There's like a real story with characters, and you're locked into it going, whoa, this movie's fantastic. You care so much. It was the first time I'm usually, I don't show the humans. Show me more of the humans. I'm actually invested. It makes sense.
And they made it for $1.85.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Right.
$1.85.
They had a little bit of different, they had different rules and stuff for internationally, but yes, it's still what they were able to do with that budget in general. Like, that's the kind of stuff Marvel needs to do.
I would argue what's tricky is Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Superman are 3 of the best examples of what we're describing, and still it wasn't the hits they needed to be. I think personally the character studies in those 3 films were exceptional, but I think that the audiences will wait for streaming for a big movie now because they're like, it'll be out soon. I think Sinners was legs because everyone was like, oh, it's something new and different. I have to see it right away. I think Weapons is a similar conversation of like, I don't want to get ruined for me. I don't think anyone was worried about what the end of Fantastic Four was going to be.
Right. Yeah. All good points. Look, there's so much, Jeremy. We could probably talk about this for 2 hours total. So what say you guys? Put your thoughts in there. Where is the state of comic book movies right now? What do they need to do? Is it different topics? Is it making it, the genre different? Is it getting new directors who can give you a different vision? Is it budgets? What is it? Or is it fine as it is? So one guy thinks that they're making profit hand over fist still, because it's not just about the box office. Apparently they got signs on the corners and people are just throwing money in the bank, and they made a lot of money besides just the box office. What do you guys think? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know.